Hey, how you doing? I'm Adam Post. I am the publisher of College of the Dead. I've published more than 1,000 comic books over the last 30 years, and there's a lot to know about crowdfunding. I want to share some of the info I've got with you about IndieGoGo's fixed funding versus their flexible funding option. I'm going to explain to you all what that's about, and if you buy comics through IndieGoGo, then you should know about it. And certainly if you're thinking about launching a project, you got to know about that too. First, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed. Click the bell for notifications. Really appreciate it. It's a huge help to the channel, and you won't miss anything. So what's this all about? Well, IndieGoGo has two options for raising funds. In fact, they're the only crowdfunding site where you can raise flexible funds, meaning not reach your goal and keep the money you raise, versus their fixed funding option, where you raise a certain amount and you say, hey, I want to raise this amount for my goal. And if I don't reach that amount, I'm not going to get any of the money. So you get to choose when you first launch your campaign, do you want it to be fixed or flexible? So here's what I did. I had a campaign running, College of the Dead, and I set a fixed goal of $5,000 and not a really high goal, not a super low goal, and I made it flexible. And it seemed like a great idea at the time when I first launched it. But the problem with making it flexible, because like, hey, all right, if we only raise 2,000 or 3,000, we'll still get our money, and we'll produce the book anyway, no problem. But the problem with that is if you can't make your goal right away, then when backers start to look at your project, if they see like, oh, it's been 2 weeks or 3 weeks into a 4-week project and you've only funded like 25% or you funded even 50%, every time a backer looks at your project, you might get your money and that's good for you. But a lot of times when backers look at a project, they feel like if a project's not viable, meaning you're not going to raise as much money as you could, well, then maybe they're not going to get their project. So that's an extra thing. Like they may love you and they may want to back your project, but they also might be like, hey, I do expect to at least get my comic book from you guys eventually. So when I did a flexible goal, we funded, in full, which was great, but it got a little close towards the end. And I noticed that even though I got a good promotion and good exposure for my project, because it was my first project and really people really didn't know me, we got close to not making the number. And I was a little bit concerned about that because at that point, the project goes from, a potential success to like, oh, well, we didn't make our funding. And then if you don't make your funding, you miss out on another option, which is IndieGoGo's In Demand, which this campaign I did is still in demand, College of the Dead, and people can still purchase the book. Go to collegeofthedead.com. Links will be in the description if you want to check it out. It's a great book, actually. But it's a big deal to not make your goal one way or the other. And again, you lose the benefit of when a backer looks at your project and they're like, oh, I like this. But then they have to see, oh, maybe the guy's not going to get funded. So, I'm not going to back the project. It's just another burden for somebody to think about. Should they back your project? Should they back your project at the highest level or not? Because if you don't ship, then they've lost, even more money at the highest level. So again, you have to be careful when you think about it. Yes, it's great to have a flexible goal, and it's great, to have the option if you don't raise all the money, but you have to understand, you will still lose some backers as a result of it. Now, they have a minimum of $500. On other platforms, there's a minimum goals that are less. You can even have $1. The goal for fixed or flexible with IndieGoGo is $500. Now, one of the advantages about going with the minimum goal and doing a nice straight up fixed $500 option is, yes, you're not going to get any money if you don't raise $500, but at $500, if you can raise that money relatively quickly, it'll help with the algorithm, as we call it, which basically just means the more funded on a percentage basis that your campaign is, the more activity it has. Let's say if you raise $2,000 and your goal was only 500, the more it will be featured on IndieGoGo when people are looking in their comics section. So you do want to hit your goal. Now, one of the disadvantages of having a low goal, flexible or fixed, is if you pick a number that you really can't afford to produce your project at, you could wind up having to, essentially you're committing to produce this thing. You don't want to just take people's money and ruin your reputation. So if you don't raise enough money, let's say you have a $500 goal, you wind up raising $800, but it's really going to cost you $3,000 or $4,000 to deliver the project. You've got a problem there. You're going to lose money to deliver it. You do have the option of canceling the project and refunding people's money as well. So if you're not going to produce, I would certainly recommend you do that. Don't just take people's money and not ship their project. But as you see, you have to kind of think this through. The big thing you should really be doing is having a social media platform on Twitter and on YouTube. Build your own YouTube channel, have your own people get to know you, have your own followers. So what I look at, and my best suggestion for people is, first of all, really get exposure to understand how other people are doing, raising their money on their campaigns. See how successful they are. See what your project looks like. I would recommend a fixed goal in every case rather than a flexible goal. I won't do a flexible goal again. And the reason why I won't do a flexible goal is I don't want people to look at my goal and think like, oh, well, is he going to be able to make the number or not make the number? Now, even with a fixed goal, let's say I had a fixed goal again of $5,000 and we didn't immediately fund it. Yes, backers will still have to double think and be like, well, how do I know that Adam is going to be able to fund his project completely? Maybe he won't. Maybe I only had $2,000 out of $5,000 funded, and it's 3 weeks out of a 4-week campaign. That would look like a campaign that's not going to fund. Even though you don't get to keep the money on a fixed goal, it still looks like kind of a project that's not going to be successful. So it's a turnoff to people. People also like to be part of a winning project, a project that's doing well. So you really want to reach your goal. So my advice is fixed goal, as low as you can afford to deliver the project. If you're looking at it and you're saying, hey, you know what? I don't care if I have to subsidize it for $1,000 or $2,000. Well, in that case, take the number that you need on a break-even basis and then go -$1,000 or $2,000 on your break-even. I always advise people don't lose money on their small business and really don't lose money. But if it's your intention that you're going to put it out anyway, at least have a goal that's going to help you meet your number. So if it costs you $3,000 to produce and you're willing to spend $1,000 of your own money, then you'd have $2,000 left. I would go with a $2,000 fixed goal. But don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. Learn how people promote comics through social media, through YouTube, mostly not through Facebook, through YouTube and Twitter. If you do comics, hashtag ComicsGate, hashtag comics, you'll see what people are doing. Spend a few weeks, spend a month or two getting to understand how it works. I have videos on it. You'll love it. See other people have videos on it as well. Again, another reason you should subscribe to the channel, check past videos, and see what we're doing and how that goes. Just so you know, the fees are the same with IndieGoGo for fixed or for flexible. And again, that other deal that they offer with in demand is really interesting. If you look at my campaign, for example, it's up right now. Right now it's $96.60 from 192 backers. When it was funded originally, it was only $5,310 from 100 backers. Still a small campaign, but the point is, look, it's almost double. It brought in almost double the amount of money. We would have happy to deliver this for a $5,000 budget. We were fine. So for now, this has just been extra money, and for us, it's extra money, and that's just because we made our goal. And when you set up your campaign with IndieGoGo, it'll ask you if you want to have the campaign be in demand. So again, another reason why, like with flexible or fixed, if you don't make your goal, you can't be in demand meaning you can't keep that web store option open. Another great feature, by the way, for IndieGoGo is they allow you to have pre-campaign mailing lists. This is my mailing list for College of the Dead graduation day, for example, where college costs you an arm and a leg because it's zombies, right? This allows me to collect email addresses, and you can give this out. I use a domain, collegeofthedead2.com, so collegeofthedead2.com, and it redirects. It's very inexpensive. And you can Google how to get a domain and how to redirect the domain. If you're not familiar with that, it's very easy. Put your email address, people put their email address in, and then you wind up with a nice mailing list so you can send people emails, let them know when the book is coming out so that they'll be ready to back you on your first day so you can get good action going, good activity on your first day, which is very important, whether you go fixed or flexible. All right. You can get me on Twitter. I'm at @ComicsWeLove if you want to ask me any questions. It's also in the description. You can get my Twitter address there. Tell me what you think of this video. Give me some comments below if this is helpful for you. I'm sure you learned a couple things. I know I did, just by going over it. This has been another Secrets of the ComicsGate Network video by Adam Post. Fixed funding versus flexible funding on IndieGoGo. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. You can ask me questions. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. It's a huge help to me in the channel. And I will see you soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.